I want to thank everybody for being here and being online tonight. Adonai's gift to you is what I'm going to speak about. Adonai's gift to you is just that. It is a gift. There's nothing you have to do to receive it. All you have to do is listen to His Word. And His Word in James 4:2-3 say, "You ask not, so you have not." It's worded a little bit differently than I just spoke it, but the meaning is the same. When Yeshua was in the temple and the Pharisees, they did not ask Him for knowledge or anything that would help them become better teachers, or anything. They wanted more to get something that they could hold over Him. They did not want to learn or understand the Torah. No, what they tried to do was trap Him or get Him to say something that would get Him into trouble. So now I ask you, are you asking Yeshua for things, or are you asking Him to help you understand what is happening in your lives today? Before you go to bed, do you get ready for bed? Or do you just walk into your bedroom and crawl into your bed? Do you wash and prepare for bed? So now you want to know an answer to something. How do you ask God for it? As you prepare to go to bed, this is the time to ask Him. This is not you asking for things, but for answers. Now is the time that you want to try to understand what He is saying to us. Now remember, we just had Passover, and that was a miracle of salvation. Not of your soul, but of your very lives. They had to put the blood on the doorpost, and they had to stay inside. They could not go out. Now, some of the people were scared. They could hear the wailing of the Egyptians as their firstborn were losing their lives. Do you want knowledge or things? Me, I want knowledge. I want to know what is happening now and what is coming. We've just gone through a virus, and we're still going through it actually, where we have to stay inside behind our doors while the virus spread and people died. We closed our doors here at AMC, but we painted our doorposts with the blood of Yeshua. We did not shut down. We continued with Adonai's word. And some even think we opened too soon, while others think we should not have closed at all. But none of that matters now, does it? People will still talk and discuss this for a long time and ask, why? None of this matters. We did what we thought was right in closing and in reopening. What matters is that we listen to God and we are safe. If people have issues with that, then that's their problem. Let them be like the Pharisees and ask the wrong questions. During this time, for God's people have experienced some very hardships, both physical and financial. So what do? We follow His word. What His word says. What is causing all these quarrels and fights among us? Isn't it your desire to do battle inside of you? You desire things and don't have them. You kill and you are jealous. And you still can't get them. So you fight and quarrel. The reason you don't have is that you don't pray. Or you pray and don't receive. because you pray with the wrong motives. That of wanting to indulge your own desires. James 4, 1 through 3. Congregation, this was written over 2,000 years ago. I know people will say, well, I don't know the Bible as well as you do, or I don't have time. So I ask, how much time do you spend on your phone? I ask this because just a few years ago, we did not have phones to carry around, much less have a research computer small enough to put in our pocket. Why do the heathen rage and the peoples imagine vain things? A king of the earth, the kings of the earth, set themselves and the rulers to take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. This was Psalms 2, 1 through 3. It was written 3,000 years ago. Today we have the internet, and we all own phones that are smarter than we are. So ask your phone. You can order anything online and have it within a couple of days. And you can find the answers you need within moments. I live in today's world, and I have learned how to research Strong's Concordance on my phone. But better, all I have to do is just type in my question, and I get my answer within seconds. Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, who said he is the way, the truth, and the life, and that no one comes to the Father but through him. Oh, this simply does not fit the globalist mold. Thinkers who form that mold want there to be no doubt. People through your own intellect can do whatever we imagine. We can build a perfect world without any input from any deity who might or might not really be out there. This arrogant attitude of self-sufficiency is summed up in a document titled The Declaration of Interdependence, released by the United Nations World Council on January 30th, 1976. It reads in part, 2 centuries ago, our forefathers brought forth a new nation. Now we must join with others to bring forth a new world order. This document was signed and ratified by the United Nations, including our own United States. Where was our outcry then? This was 1976. Where were we? Why weren't we screaming at the top of our lungs in our streets with signs and protest? Neo-Bible builders construct even their music in a way that clearly demonstrates the Luciferian desire to usurp God's throne. John Lennon's universally popular song actually pairs with Rush's Lennon, who preached man-made heaven on earth. The song goes like this: imagine there is no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below, and no heaven above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there is no countries. That isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion do. Imagine all the people living life in peace. And you say, I am a dreamer, but I am not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing the world. You may call me a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one. People rave about John Lennon and how great he was, yet many don't understand he was selling us out to the New World Order. How many of you really listen to the music that is out today? I know I don't. I don't, but millions do. And they spend billions of dollars to hear and buy stuff that deprives our women as hoes and to treat them as trash. And the young people do listen. This rage exploded in 2016 when Mr. Trump was elected president, and for the past 3.5 years has exploded into what we have today. Riots, homeless people living on the streets of America, using our streets as bathrooms. Never before in our life have we had a complete breakdown of society. And without law enforcement, this is the New World Order. And if we don't get God back in our society, we are the ones that will lose. God gave us a beautiful planet, and now we are destroying it. God said, do not murder. And we allow thousands of our firstborn to be murdered. I'm talking about abortions. Yes, we allow it. While I was going to therapy for my hand, I'd drive by a Planned Parenthood building just across from the hospital. And when people were out there protesting, I would honk and wave and let them know I was with them. I would often try to stop and talk to the ladies if I had the time, to encourage them to keep doing what they were doing. God gave us a beautiful planet, and we have polluted it with filthy air, death on our streets, riots, fires, and all kinds of destruction and pollution. Someday God may decide to take it back. He did in the days of Noah. How many righteous will he save this time? And will you be counted in that number? You ask, what can I do? I'm only one person trying to feed my family and pay my bills. I just want to live and worship God. You can repent and pray, and God will hear you. He said so in 2 Chronicles 7, verses 13 and 14. The first thing we must ask ourselves as we pursue a subject of knowing Adonai's will is exactly what do we mean when we say we are seeking to know the perfect will of God. Let us look at 1 John chapter 1, verse 3. We are proclaiming to you so that you too may have fellowship with us. Our fellowship is with the Father and His Son, Yeshua, the Messiah. After all, God's Word is His will. The Word of God is His instructions on how we are to live. Now, when we see the Word or the world today, we see not God, but things of Satan. Why? Because we have allowed it. And what do I mean by we have allowed it? We did not protest when the politicians passed laws that removed His Word from schools, nor from the courts, and nor from our daily lives. Not even being able to pray in the open about a football game. Not to win or lose or that, but to protect the young men from getting hurt. And show sportsmanship. I'm just as guilty as the rest. I did not ask God for His guidance. I did not seek out what it was He wanted from me. What did He wanted me to do? Now I have asked God, what should I do? He leads me into being faithful and serving Him in His house. This is what each of us have to do to seek out what it is that God wants from us. I did not ask. Therefore, I did not receive. The night I came back to Adonai, I asked. I fell on my knees and asked God for his help because I knew I was too weak in the spirit and the body to help myself. It was 11 p.m. and there I was on my knees with my hands raised up towards heaven. And I asked God for his help because I was too weak to help myself. But my heart was sincere. The tears were real. And what did God do? Forget all of my past at that moment. God reached down and picked me up. Not physically, but he did touch me. And I was sober instantly. My mind was clear. And I cried because he loved me so much. God did not cast me aside. No, he did what I could not do for myself. The next day, I had a burning inside me to relearn everything that I had forgotten and to learn new things, even deeper knowing of Adonai. Adonai has had me go to other churches and to work with them. Jane and I even worked on a children's home in Mexico. It's where the government takes the kids away from the parents because they were unfit or they were going to prison. God led Jane and I to another church, a modern one, with flashing lights and loud music so we could see that was not what God wanted. I was led here to AMC, Arrowhead Messianic Congregation. And on the very first day I came in, I sat down on the first row. I think it was first or second row. Rabbi, at that time he had a stage up here, and I was glued to him, looking at him. Heard. I did not look at my watch once. I had no idea how the time was transpiring. I was so engrossed in what he was doing, what Rabbi was doing, and what he was saying. I knew that this was where God wanted me, that Adonai wanted me right here at AMC. I went home, and I no sooner got out in the parking lot, my phone's ringing. My wife is asking me, "Where are you?" I just left church. She says, "It's been 2 hours. I just left church. You got to wait till I get home." When I went home, I told my wife, Jane, what had transpired. And I may not have glowed like Moses or others, but she could see the Spirit in me and what had happened. Something had changed. And we came here. And we have been coming ever since. I'm retired, so I had time on my hands to do other things. But I started volunteering as Shamish. Little positions, no big major responsibilities. But I volunteered to help other people, to do things, anything I could, to help the other elders or anybody. And one thing led to another, and I could blow the shofar pretty good. So the leader, Pastor Denny, asked me to be his second, in case there were times he could not be here or he could not do it, blow the shofar. I was so honored. I never even thought about it. I said, yes, I would be glad to do that. That is such an honor for me. I knew right then that, yes, this was where God wanted me. I was going to prayer service on Thursday nights, and there was a young lady that was the elder in charge of it. And she asked me if I would like to be her shamish. And I said, what do I do? She told me what she wanted, and I said, okay, I can do that. I'm retired. I've got plenty of free time on my hands. I can be here early, and I can help set up, and I can do those things. So I started doing that. Then one day she came to me, and she said, my husband and I are going back to college. I want you to take over Thursday night prayer service. Wait a minute. This seems like a burden. This seems like a heavy burden. But no, I said, yes, I would. I'd be honored. And I took it over. And I've been leading the prayer service ever since. Now, when I recently got injured and could not be here and do things, I asked a dear friend, a shamish, to take over for me. And this shamish gladly said yes. And he is here every Thursday night in the sanctuary with the prayer book. He's the only one here. The rest of us are all on conference calls. But he is faithful to the minute, just as I was. He feels that it's such an honor to be here in the house of God, just as I felt. You know, I asked God what he wanted me to do. God, what do you want me to do? And Hineni, here am I. As you volunteer for a shamish position, God will lead you closer to him. And often you will do more than one thing. The enemy will try to stop you, but don't let him. Yes, he's tried to stop me. I've had 2 broken tendons, 1.5 years apart. Now, these tendons are in my feet, and they have to be repaired surgically, and a cadaver's tendon has to be replaced of mine. So I'm sitting there thinking about this. I go to God and I said, God, I got to have this surgeon, and he wants to put a dead man's tendon in my body. Don't worry it. I'll heal you. Don't worry about it. I'll heal you. So I went to my doctor and I said, yes, let's do it. God will heal me. Don't worry about it. The doctor kind of looked at me strange. But we did the surgery and my foot was healed. 1.5 years later, oh, Lord, same thing in the other foot. But I went back to that same doctor. And I said, Doc, I think I just broke a tendon in the other foot. And that was a mic dropping moment. Plunk. He looked at me and he says, as long as I have been a surgeon, I have never replaced the same tendon in one patient in all of my career. I said, I'm just unique. What can I say? I laughed about it. I says, God told me to come see you because you're the best of the business. But he was going to heal me anyway, so let you know. And that's why I'm wearing the boot today. I've got 9.5 more days, and I get my foot back. But the thing about it is, I trusted God. I trusted God. What doctor do I go to? And you stop and think this for a minute, all of you. Do you have a foot doctor? A podiatrist that you go visit and see? Most of us didn't or don't. Yeah, now I do. You know, I'm a disabled veteran, so I have the VA for my medical care. I don't have a PCP. And when I was getting ready for this surgery, he says, well, I need a pre-op physical saying that, you'll pass, that you can have the surgery. Who do I go to? I don't have a PCP. When I go to the VA hospital, it's whoever's behind the desk. They don't know me from Adam's house cat. They know nothing about me. So we called on an old doctor friend, and he ran an EKG. My EKG didn't look good. He got a little wiggle in there that he didn't like. So he says, I want you to have echocardiogram and a couple other things. So I went to see a heart surgeon, and he ran an EKG, and he says, oh, this one looks just like the last one we did on you 3 years ago. Oh, okay, cool. He signed off on the pre-op so I could have surgery. But then he says, I want to do an echo. Okay, here we go. Remember, I've got this little wiggle thing on my EKG reading. You know how the needle goes up, bit, bit, bit. Mine goes up and down, you know. And he says, I just want to look at it. And he looked at it, and he did the echo, and he says, yep, it looks just like the last one. No problems. Live your life. See you in 5 years, whatever. That's comforting to me because, you see, I'm 77 years old. That means I don't have to go to see him all the time. So he's not going to find out anything else wrong with me unless it breaks. The point being, though, is I trusted God. God sent me to the right surgeons, the right doctors, the right people. He guided me to the places I had to go. And by doing that faith in God, this pandemic or whatever you want to call it, hit our country. It's terrible. It's devastating. People are dying. And I said, God, what do I do? My wife's health is not that great. Matter of fact, it's pretty bad. So we were concerned. But through prayer and through the prayers of my congregation, God has told us not to worry. And we don't. Monday morning, my wife is going to have surgery. And to give you an idea what that meant, she only has a couple of inches of the top of her lungs at work. She has 2 heart doctors, one for rhythm and one for plumbing. They all had to approve it. We prayed to God. She got all of her approvals. Everything is through. They're going to go do the surgery Monday morning at 8 o'clock. So now she's hearing all about this pandemic. All these new cases. Everything is just overwhelming. Worry, worry, worry. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Worry, worry, worry. But we pray to God, and God, we don't worry. For God, Adonai, Yeshua HaMashiach, is our salvation. Not only our salvation, He is our healer. He sends us to these doctors for surgeries and for other things, conditions that happen to our bodies. But He's the healer. He's the one that sews it all back together. He just uses the surgeon's hands. God bless the surgeon for listening to him. I fell off a ladder, knocked myself out with a concussion. I turned blue because I wasn't breathing. My family had tried, and they were having problems trying to get me to breathe again. Finally, my daughter called 911. They took me to the hospital and got me going again. I was in a CAT scan, I think it was. Rabbi was there at the hospital with my wife. And I just came out of it. Whoa. Doc put 2 staples in the back of my head where I'd cut it open. And out the door I walked. Later, I had to go get the staples out. Well, I'm very lucky. I'm very a fortunate man. In our congregation, I have a veterinarian. So the staples were not a problem anymore. But because I gave it to God, God did it, and that's it. That's the whole point. You see, Adonai did not leave us. But Satan will try to make you think that Adonai has left you. Once you learn to just ask God, and he will answer you. I have a friend that's upset because we closed our doors. We just closed for a while, services for a while. Yeah, we were still online, so every service was live streamed. Then people were upset by the social spacing, as we have to do, because they might have to wear a mask, which we do if we're close to each other. So I say unto all who can be here, come and put your faith into practice. Come and show Adonai that your faith may be tested, but you will hold fast and follow. Follow Adonai and his word. You have nothing to prove to anyone but God. I have a mask right here. I wear the mask when I have to go be with people. But being up here, I'm away from everybody. I can just talk into the mic. Show Adonai how much you love him and what you're willing to suffer for him. If you tell God that you won't come to his house because someone closed the doors for a short time because of what the government forced them to do, then ask God what his people did when the Romans closed the synagogues and chased the Jewish people out of Israel. And then ask God if he will hold the doors open for you when that time comes. Because you might be a little late getting there. Might be a little late getting your act together. Like the 5 virgins that didn't have the oil. When they got to the door was closed. I don't want to get to that door and find out it's closed and I can't get in. You know, if you read Revelations 4, verses 15 and 16, you might want to rethink some things. Adonai has given us a gift of eternal life, but there is a caveat. We must believe in him and accept him. Then we must follow his teachings. There are some difficult times coming. And this was just a preamble of what is coming, this pandemic. This is just a tropical storm. Wait until the hurricane comes. Wait until there is no water, food, or shelter for our people. God's people have gone through this many times, and they have had to trust in him for everything, even their clothes. During the Holocaust, God's people were stripped naked, both male and female, and beaten, and their children also. They were not separated. Naked they were marched into their death, either into a pit and shot or into a gas chamber. The only thing you suffer are the doors have been closed for a short time. You can still hear the word and see the services on live stream. And after my surgery, when I was home, I saw several of them on my TV. And it was like being right here. You just didn't have the fellowship of everybody. You see, Rabbi Allen asked God a long time ago what he could do. And God led Rabbi to live stream our show, our Shabbat lessons, our Shabbat teachings, our services. And we've been doing the live streaming for a long, long time. So see, all you have to do is ask God, and he will answer you. He will answer you even if you have fallen away from him. I did. I asked him when I was at the end of my road and drunk on liquor. He came right to me without a hesitation. There was a man that had taken an overdose and was not expected to live. I prayed over him, and God spared his life. And for a short time, he too followed God. But then he fell away again. The call of Satan was just too strong. He had so little faith he could not overcome that call. So I asked those that refused to come back because our doors were closed for a short time, have you asked God what you should do? And did he answer you? If God has not answered yet, why not come and ask him here in his house? So before I go today, I want to close with this. The United States of America has guaranteed our right to worship our God the way we want to. This right cannot be infringed upon by the government, nor can it be changed to a government-run religion. We cannot be forced to shut our doors legally. We here at AMC closed our doors to protect our people, Adonai's people, from a disease caused by another nation. We were told by the governor who put out a directive telling us to close. We did it to save our people because God led us this way. We live streamed the whole time so everybody could still hear the word of God. Still, some of our congregants complained and said they would not come back. Only time will tell if they will or will not. Today at sunset started our Shabbat. And this is the day that we celebrate our independence, the 4th of July. We celebrate it because a lot of men and women sacrificed their lives so we could have the freedoms we have. Many of us have walked through the valley of the shadow of death. And now today, you too have walked through this valley. And Adonai is with us. If we allow it, we will lose the America we love. Without God's people having shed their blood just so we can have these rights, if we remain silent and just sit by, we will be the reason we lose America and face a different kind of slavery. I want everybody to read 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verses 13 and 14. Don't ask me what you can do. Ask Adonai, and he will answer you.